right now, that particular matter is needs to be highlighted a little more. The Senate has just passed the Police Reform Bill, which is replacing, we understand, the Police Colonial Act. It was, that's what we've been running with. So to discuss this and see how it is the police can proceed, and whether this is actually what we need for the police to be the police of our dreams, we have with us in the studio Group Captain Sadiq Shehu. He's retired now. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Good morning.
Good morning. I do know that, you know, you're worried, as many Nigerians have been, with the recent cases of extrajudicial murders we've been seeing. Do you think that primarily this Police Reform Act now, was not been signed into law, it's just been passed by the Senate, but it's moved one step beyond a bill, just a bill. Do you think that it's going to solve the problems? Because I think for many Nigerians, what they're hoping this will solve for them is ensure more security and also, of course, give them a better police force. Do you think it solves it?
First, what one has to say is that, that the National Assembly is waking up to its responsibility of oversighting the security forces, and here I say security forces as a whole, even though we're talking about the police, I will say it's a good beginning. The truth is that in most advanced democracies, such reforms are actually driven by the legislature rather than even the executive. Most of the good police reforms, security reforms, when you check the countries, they are driven. However, until now, the honest truth is that the relevant committees, they have not shown the capacity or the desire to really oversight security forces. I always see the job of a legislator who is serving on a security-related committee is twofold. First, to support the security forces to ensure they are funded, they are trained, they are equipped to carry out their roles. Secondly, on the side of the electorate or the normal man on the street, to protect the abuse of power, the abuse of force that will infringe on the rights of the citizen. So honest, he is not only for the citizens, he is both for the citizen and also for the police. Now, one good thing I had the chairman of the committee saying is the issue of training. In all honesty, we don't do enough training for our security forces. Security training is a continuous thing. It's not a one-up. It's not somebody going into a training institution and they're receiving training on human rights or international humanitarian law once, and then that's enough for him to finish his career. At every stage, as I hear him saying, there should be training on this issue. It is this lack of training, lack of capacity, lack of equipment that is leading to what we are seeing on the street. The issue of extrajudicial killing. Now, again, I have to commend that the IGP, from his words at least, even though he is not the legislature, he is not the executive, he has demonstrated a need, even going to the extent that they will consider the use of non-lethal weapons. These non-lethal weapons are the modern thing, especially in law enforcement operation, not war. Law enforcement operation, where the person that is breaking the law is a citizen who has the right to life. The only thing he broke the law. You know, the real essence of law enforcement is to arrest and prosecute. It's not to kill or to injure. So it is different from a war-minded situation.
Some people have said that this is the most important bill of the 8th Senate. It is rather sad that it's coming a little late in the tenure of this particular Senate. But I mean, some people will say it's better late than never.
Yes. And
a lot of Nigerians have indeed been raising worry as to the spate of extrajudicial killings. Do you think that this new, well, not the law now, not the bill, but the directive given by the IGP is going to have any effect? Or do you think it's going to give the bad people a field day when they know that the police might not be carrying lethal weapons on them?
This is my concern. I mean, suggesting the idea by the IGP to introduce the use of non-lethal weapons is a very good one. However, as somebody who has done studies and carried out research on the use of non-lethal weapons, which is what tasers are, they are generally called non-lethal weapons, I am alarmed by what I read in the media and even how the IGP was quoted. If I hear correctly, if I read correctly, I heard him saying that in the future, tasers or stun guns will be used instead of weapons to avoid unnecessary casualty in normal patrols. Now, the risk with that is that there's nowhere in the world where you deploy a security man with only non-lethal weapons. The good practice is to deploy. The non-lethal weapons are not supposed to replace the firearms. Please, we should get that straight. They are not supposed to replace. They are supposed to complement. You have to look at the security man himself is threatening, life-threatening situations. He has the right to his life. So you can only give him confidence to do his work if he knows that he has both the non-lethal, and if the situation deteriorates, he has lethal fire to bring. So honest, I want to correct this impression. You know, because again, like you pointed out, if we are having hardened criminals, the criminals we are having in Nigeria, in all honesty, is not the kind of criminals that we are having in 20 or 30 years back. These are criminals that are also armed. So please, we should look at a complementing, you know, the lethal weapons with the non-lethal weapons. But what, in addition to that, is training, so that the security man knows, when am I supposed to use lethal weapon? When am I supposed to use non-lethal weapon? There is a graduated approach. There is escalation of force training. There are rules of engagement that will guide that. So please, and again, the statement from the IGP spoke of normal patrols, implying that you could differentiate patrols from the ones that are life-threatening, for which the policeman will carry non-lethal weapon, as opposed to not. The truth is that in reality, a situation that is non-lethal, non-deadly, can easily transform without any warning into a deadly situation. So it is for that reason that the security man, whether police, whether custom, whether this thing, you give him a choice. What the non-lethal weapon do is they give him a choice. I've always given this example. It's like a housewife, a well-supported housewife that has a set of knives. Modern housewife now, they have a set of knives. She knows the one she can use for breaking bone. She knows the one she can use for cutting flesh. So that is what the lethal weapon does to the toolbox of the security man. He knows when to go for the non-lethal weapon. He knows to go. But this issue of, it is called lethal oversight. There should always be lethal oversight. No security man should be deployed with only non-lethal weapons. It will be counterproductive.
Well, we don't know how that is going to. I mean, so far so good. We know that the IGP said that, but we have still been seeing policemen with guns. But some people say that it's the type of guns that is the problem. That we're using the kind of guns they use in war situations, not the type that is supposed to use to effect civil arrest and things of the sort. Do you agree with them?
Well, in all honesty, when you look generally all over the world, whether police or military, there is no much difference between the kind of guns. Of course, okay, you might not expect a policeman to use a machine gun, for example, which has rapid rate of fire and is supposed to engage bigger targets. But personal weapon, like AK-47, like the other types of Uzi and the rest, I think all over the world, there is no really difference between what the military will use and the distance. What the difference is that higher caliber, like machine guns, higher rate of fire, like mortars and the rest, you don't expect police to have them. But the weapons we are having with our police, which are basically AK-47, almost the same that the army and other security agents are using, I think there is nothing wrong with that. However, the addition of the non-lethal weapons to give them an option, because every threat has its own threshold. If you are dispersing students that are rioting unarmed, if you are dispersing, we had the National Assembly members rioting last time for one reason or the other, you know, or demonstrating, let me see. Demonstration is part of democracy. If the people are unarmed, because in confronting security risk, when a police is called or a security man is officer, you have about 5 types of people. There is the compliant lawbreaker. Stop, he will stop and go.
No, we'll talk about other lawbreakers.
Yes.
When we come back from this break, please stay with us. Our retired Group Captain Sadiq Shehu is still with us in the studio. He's a security consultant, and we're talking about this newly passed police reform bill. It's just been passed in the Senate. For it to become law, it will still have to be concurred with, from the lower chamber, and the president will have to sign it. But at least the Senate has passed its own. Just before we went on break, you're talking about compliant lawbreakers.
Yes, what I am.
But some people will say that protesters are not lawbreakers.
Well, the issue of protesting, you know, is a really complicated issue. Where you always have the problem is that, yes, under democracy, you have the right to protest, as far as you don't do it violently. But then on the other hand, how or where you do that protest could be the issue. Because just like it says, your right stops where mine starts. If I am going to pass along Ahmadu Bello Way, and you decide to protest there, and you block me, I, as the ordinary citizen, I could also, and I'm not part of your procession, you know, I could appeal to the authorities that you are blocking my right. So normally this is what we have in Nigeria. The right to protest is there, but how you do it or where to do it, again, should be regulated by the government.
But back to the bill now.
Yes.
What are you hoping would happen? I mean,
what I am hoping with the bill, like I said, when I saw the chairman of the Senate committee talking, talking about things that really impinge on police effectiveness, like training, I am really, fascinated. But however, like I said, this is only the beginning. I want to see our legislators. There is this tendency of our legislators being civilians, most of them, to think that security issues is not really their concern. Allow the people. Wherever you give power, you have to regulate the power. And who regulates this power in the democracy is the legislature, with maybe the executive arm, but mostly the legislature. I want to see them going down. He spoke about training eloquently, but the bill itself will not translate into training. I want to see the chairman of the Senate committee saying, if a policeman joins for the past 15 years, what training, at what stage does he go for training? Is it annual? Is it one-off? In the advanced police force,
should they be that minute? I mean,
it should be.
They
are not doing it for the police, but they tell the police to see. Because now the main problem we're having is issues of human rights. It's issues of use of arms. So we may ask rhetorically, what is the dosage? What is the length? What is the number of hours that a policeman who has served 15 years, for example, has received in human rights in what is? So if the police were told to bring a training circle and to put it in what other people do in that, there is this annual report. If you are supposed to go for human rights training, they make it an annual mandatory training. For example, I'm just giving an example, that every police officer of whatever rank must do 3 hours of human rights and weapon training every year. And that is part of his annual report. There has to be a column there. Has he done it? Whatever duty he's doing, even if he's the ADC of the president, he must break and go and do those 2 hours. This lack of continuous training, in all honesty, is what is leading to issues of extrajudicial killing we're seeing. The training is not enough.
Well, you definitely can point it, bring it down to that. But then, there are people who will say that the human rights of the police, too, needs to be respected in terms of their remuneration and looking after their productivity as well. But we have to thank you, as always, for coming on Sunrise Daily.
Thank you very much.
Retired Group Captain Sadiq Shehu is a security consultant and also one who focuses on human rights as well. Well, that's been Sunrise Daily from Abuja this morning. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Maokwe Ogun Yusuf.
Well, thank you for
Friday to you.
Yes, indeed. I'm Chamberlain, so have a good one as well.
And I am Akide here saying, have a wonderful weekend.
The views and opinions expressed by guests on this program are those of the maker and do not reflect the views, opinions, and endorsement of Channels Television.